I remember when life felt simple, almost predictable. The mornings were a blend of rushing around, making breakfast for the kids, and exchanging tired smiles with Susan before heading off to our respective jobs. We would share hurried kisses that were more habitual than passionate, but at the time, that comfort felt enough. Weekends were our reprieve, park outings with Callum and Jesse, or cozy movie nights that ended with us collapsing onto the couch. It was a rhythm we had established over years, so seamlessly that I hardly noticed how complacency had started to seep in. But underneath that surface contentment, there were cracks. Subtle ones that I brushed off, an exhausted sigh from Susan when she thought I wasn't listening, a shared glance that felt just a bit distant. I chalked it up to stress, maybe even routine fatigue, convincing myself it was nothing more than a rough patch. Yet deep down, there was an ache, an inkling that our stable world wasn't as solid as I had believed. I couldn't shake the feeling that change was looming, waiting for just the right moment to upend everything I thought I knew. We seemed like an ordinary suburban couple, balancing satisfying careers with the joys of family life. In our mid-30s, we were content after 15 years of marriage, raising our 2 children, Callum and Jesse. We were known as Paul and Susan. I stood just under 6 feet tall, with a build that had softened from my once athletic form, though my chest remained broad, and I like to think I carried the extra weight well, or at least I hoped so. Susan, a slender redhead, stood 5 feet 5 inches without heels, with an impressive 34C2836 figure that I still admired. I had kept the same group of friends since school, and we continued to meet on weekends, though our activities had become tamer since marriage. While we still enjoyed sports, our gatherings shifted to couple-oriented social evenings and regular outings. Susan often spent time with her best friend Claire and her mother Anna. Claire, who had been Susan's bridesmaid, was a beloved aunt to our children, despite not being related. We grew even closer to her after her divorce from the unfaithful man who betrayed her. She was amazing, full of energy, and deserved better. When Susan and Claire went out, I would stay home with the kids, something I genuinely loved. I played the silly parent, making sure the kids had fun, while Susan played the stricter role, which worked well for us. Susan's behavior had changed recently, and while I carefully tried to ask about it, I couldn't figure out why. Sometimes she felt anxious about money, wishing for a bigger house and lavish vacations. My focus was more on the kids and social life, and I picked up extra shifts to help fund these plans. Susan started pulling away from our friends, spending more time with her mom. Eventually, she admitted she was worried about her. Anna had become a widow 18 months earlier after her husband's passing, and despite our support, she struggled to move forward. Susan devoted herself to caring for Anna, inviting her over for dinner and sharing wine. Although Anna loved spending time with us, she declined invitations to other social gatherings. Over time, I wondered if Susan was creating opportunities for me to spend time with her mom. I didn't mind. We got along extremely well, and I enjoyed her company. At 53, Anna looked much younger and was often mistaken for Susan's sister. I would tell her often that many men would be eager to take her out, which seemed to lift her spirits. Our time together became more frequent, and I thought maybe Susan was helping Anna ease back into talking to men as a prelude to more socializing. It was with this thought in mind that I found myself in one of the most unusual conversations of my life, sitting on the couch watching TV. "Paul, I'm really worried about Mom. She's been struggling so much since George passed. Losing the love of her life has left her unsure of how to move forward. We're doing our best to support her. You've been amazing, and I don't know what more we can do." "You really have been great with her. Did I mention she said you remind her of George when he was younger? After my useless dad left with his girlfriend, it took George a long time to convince Mom to give him a chance. He was so patient and understanding. She just needs time to meet someone like George again." Susan fell silent for what felt like ages. I wondered if she had started to drift off to sleep. "I think you should take her out." I laughed, surprised by the sudden suggestion, thinking it was a joke. But Susan didn't laugh. "You're not serious, are you?" "I am serious. I know it sounds strange, but she needs help getting past that hurdle, and we're the only ones who can help her. Specifically you, since you're a man. Thanks for noticing, but I'm also her son-in-law. That's not really appropriate. Why not try matchmaking with someone her own age?" "She's completely refused to even talk to another man. You're the only one she trusts." "So, like a friendly outing? Just to get her used to going out again. I could do that, I guess." "Yes, like a date, mainly. But if it goes further than that, I'd be okay with it." "What do you mean?" "She needs to feel wanted, to believe she's still attractive to men." I could do a little flirting. She must know men find her attractive. Honestly, I don't think she does. Her confidence is gone and she's forgotten what it feels like. She thinks every guy is trying to take advantage of her. She needs to realize she can be with another man. Good grief. It sounds like you're asking me to sleep with her. Susan shrugged. You can't be serious. She's your mom. Don't tell me you're not attracted to her. I've seen how you look at her, and you two get along great. All I'm saying is that I'd be okay with whatever happens. And I suppose you wouldn't mind me being unfaithful to you? It's not cheating if I suggested it and know about it. I see it as an act of love. It's safe because I know you both love me and will come back to me. And does your mom know about this wild plan? She'll be furious when you tell her. We've already discussed it. A lot, actually. I think she's warming up to the idea. This is just crazy, Susan. I know it sounds weird, but please think about it. Don't dismiss it outright. Before I could process it all, Susan was on top of me, kissing me with urgency and pulling me into her. We discussed it at length, and Susan remained steadfast in saying she was comfortable with whatever happened. My initial resistance to the idea slowly began to fade. I had to admit to myself that I found Anna attractive. She was still stunning. With her long auburn hair, deep brown eyes, and curvy figure, she was a beautiful woman with a wonderful personality. Helping her wouldn't be a burden at all. In fact, it would be quite the opposite. Although I was married, my wife was the one who suggested it. The idea of spending time with an attractive woman for a good reason, with my wife's consent, seemed almost too perfect to be true. I eventually agreed to meet Anna for a drink in a neutral setting without Susan around to talk things over. We made small talk and got our drinks before I gathered the courage to address the main topic. Anna, Susan mentioned that she was okay if we wanted to go out more. How do you feel about it? It does feel a bit strange, but we've always gotten along so well, so maybe it could work. To be honest, Paul, I need something to change. I'm really lonely, but trusting a man is hard for me after my first husband treated me so poorly. She looked like she was about to cry, so I moved closer and hugged her. The scent of her perfume and the warmth of her body caught me off guard. It was genuinely lovely. Not wanting to dig deeper into her pain, I tried to lighten the mood. Well, I'm more than happy to spend time with you, and I guess we could call this a first date. It's not so bad, right? Anna's frown turned into a warm smile. Thank you, Paul. It's not bad at all. I already feel better. We shared a meal and chatted easily, making it comfortable enough for me to ask more questions. I asked her about her life and her relationship with George, and Anna was as open and engaging as always. If we continue with this, is there anything specific you'd like from it, Anna? It's been so long since I dated. Almost 30 years. I'm not even sure I remember how. You can, trust me. You're great company. You just need to be yourself. You're very attractive and deserve to start living again, not just getting by. And anyway, you seem to be doing just fine tonight. That's very kind of you, and I feel comfortable tonight because I'm with you. We're friends, and you're easy to talk to. Well, if you'd like, we can keep going out and see if it helps build your confidence. It shouldn't be too hard. You're a beautiful woman, Anna, and soon enough you'll be turning away admirers left and right. We shared a few meals together, each one relaxed and full of fun. I drove Anna home, and after turning off the engine, I was about to say goodnight when she leaned over and kissed me on the lips. I was taken aback. While it felt awkward, it also sent a jolt through me like lightning. I'm sorry, Paul. I've been wanting to do that for a while. I just couldn't hold back any longer. Don't apologize, I said, leaning in to kiss her properly. It was a long, passionate kiss. When we finally pulled back, I said, Wow, that was quite the kiss. Are you sure you want to keep going with this, Anna? She nodded. Yes, it feels right. And good. And you are open to taking things further? Are you asking about being intimate, Paul? I swallowed, trying to keep eye contact. I guess I am. I'd like us to be intimate. I've talked it over with Susan, and she fully supports it. It was even her idea. A surge of excitement went through me. Not just because Anna was attractive, but her candid, straightforward nature stirred something in me. Clearly, I was the one catching up between the three of us. Would you like that, Paul? Would you want to be with me? I can't deny it, Anna, but I'm not sure if it's the right thing to do. It feels right to me. I don't trust many men, Paul, but I'm a woman who still desires intimacy, and I'm very drawn to you. I'm sure we'd enjoy it. I couldn't help but notice her chest rise and fall as she breathed deeply, which only heightened my awareness. Anna smiled. Look as much as you like, Paul. Everything I have is yours if you want it. I was speechless, overwhelmed by desire and struggling with temptation. My attention shifted when Anna took my hand in hers. What about you, Paul? If this is a one-time thing, is there something you'd want from it? Maybe a fantasy Susan hasn't fulfilled? An image came to mind before I could stop it, making me stammer. No, nothing like that. Anna's smile was warm and reassuring. I know you're not being entirely honest. I promise I won't share it with anyone. Please, tell me your fantasy. I really shouldn't. There is one thing, but it's awkward to bring up. You might think it's disrespectful to George. Is it the idea of the widow in black? My eyes widened in surprise. Oh my, it is. Tell me more. Okay, I'll admit that idea has crossed my mind. Have you seen Monica Bellucci, Inspector? You remind me of her a little. I'm sorry, it's just a silly fantasy. I wish I looked like her, but thank you for the compliment. So you're into the whole black lingerie, seamed stockings, and heels look? I'm sorry, it was silly to mention. No need to apologize. Let me share a little secret. George used to buy me lingerie, and I loved dressing up for him. I have plenty of it, along with various outfits. I'd love to bring your fantasy to life. My mind was racing. Wow, really? That would be incredible. Well, if we're going to do this, we should do it right. I already have everything I need, and you'd be helping take care of a widow's needs. If I'm wearing that, I want you in a sharp suit and to have dinner at a fancy restaurant. How about Friday? I was still in a daze as we said goodbye with another lingering kiss. Sitting in my car, I tried to wrap my head around what just happened, mainly reminding myself that Anna was eager for this to happen and anticipating how Susan might react. When I got home, I expected Susan to be upset as I summarized our conversation, though I did leave out the detail about the widow fantasy. To my surprise, she was very calm, partly because Anna had already called her, and she knew we had set up the date. Susan was completely okay with it. I lost track of how many times I offered to cancel, but she was insistent that I shouldn't. This was exactly what her mom needed. She even helped me get my suit ready and iron my dress shirt, making the whole situation feel surreal. She kissed me as I was leaving and shocked me when she said she'd see me the next day. This was not just a date, but an overnight stay. Wow. I waited in the upscale restaurant, feeling a bit self-conscious in my suit and with nerves making my stomach churn. I'd be lucky to keep any of the pricey food down at this point. Then I saw her, and I was stunned. She spoke to the maitre d', who seemed quite taken with her. I watched her profile as she moved, noticing her curves and the subtle seam in her black stockings as she walked toward me. She was the embodiment of my fantasy. A tailored black jacket hugged her frame over a white satin blouse that struggled to contain her curves, the fabric pulled taut and buttons straining. A fitted pencil skirt outlined her thighs, and her stiletto heels clicked against the marble floor as she approached. As she got closer, I noticed she was wearing more makeup than usual, including bold red lipstick and matching red nails. Her hair was pinned up, highlighting her height and elegance. I quickly shut my mouth to avoid looking like I was about to drool. She smiled at me. I take it this meets your approval, Paul. Or should I say James Bond. Let's stick with Paul. I'd rather not have any villains interrupting us. And yes, you look absolutely stunning. I hope you feel comfortable in it. I'm not exactly comfortable, but I do feel good in it. It's exciting to dress up for what you desire most. I left the fascinator and net veil in the car. It felt a bit excessive for the restaurant. I'm flattered. We had another wonderful night, enjoying dinner, drinks, and dancing before heading back to her house. Once we arrived, she put on the fascinator and veil as she got out of the car. Now, she embodied the classic widow look, fulfilling my dream. I was speechless as she led me directly upstairs to her bedroom. Are you sure you want it? Do what? Yes, that's exactly what I want, Paul. I want to make your fantasy a reality and finish with a memorable time together. Hearing Anna speak so directly was surprising and added to the intensity. She guided me to sit on the bed and began to undress slowly. She removed her jacket, then unbuttoned her blouse, revealing a basque that accentuated her figure. She then slid her skirt down, showcasing her stockings, garters, and lace underwear. Leave the rest on, including the veil and heels. Of course, anything for you. Anna gracefully moved between my legs, and the eye contact, combined with the red lipstick beneath the veil, was captivating. She clearly knew how to make the moment unforgettable. Anna would pause briefly, then continue, her focus and technique building the anticipation. Before long, I felt myself getting close. After a few more intense moments, I pulled back, and Anna looked up as I reached the peak. The first touch grazed her face and brushed against the net veil. The next followed, gently tracing her nose and eye. She parted her lips, and the remainder settled there and on her chest. As she drew herself closer, she cleaned me thoroughly, the sensation almost overwhelming. Well, you really are full of surprises. That was incredible. Are you sure Susan isn't going to be furious with me? Anna laughed. a warm, deep sound. If she is, she'll have to answer to me. This was mostly her idea. I wouldn't have dared suggest it on my own, but she believed it could help me. And she might be right. I haven't felt this alive in a long time. Then we should make the most of this opportunity. Already ready to go again? Absolutely. You've had me on edge since you walked into the restaurant. Good, because I'm up for it if you are. We can go all night. I love this time with you and am yours in any way you want. Anna stood up, turned around, and adjusted her attire before leaning forward over the bed. Why don't you fill me up with that amazing body of yours? Don't worry. I'm going to give you exactly what you deserve. I positioned myself at her entrance, slowly pressing forward and feeling the heat as I entered. Anna let out a moan. She felt so tight that I paused for a moment, letting her adjust before moving in a gentle rhythm. I reached around to cup her chest with one hand while the other found her sensitive spot, making her jump slightly before she settled into the sensation. The sensation was incredible. I held her hips and added a few light slaps, enjoying the way her suspender belt moved with each thrust. I could tell she was nearing a powerful climax, her body shaking and twisting as she reached her peak. That pushed me over the edge, and I followed, releasing into her as she buckled beneath me. When I finally pulled away, I saw the evidence of our passion slowly trailing down her thigh. We collapsed, catching our breath as I rested on her back. Wow, I didn't realize how much I needed that. I planned to keep you busy all night, she said with a laugh. We continued later that night and even the next morning. She was full of energy and incredibly vocal, both urging and praising. I felt entirely captivated by her. I returned home with mixed emotions, unsure of what to expect as I stepped carefully inside. Susan was in the kitchen. Mom called to say you were on your way back. Oh, did she mention anything else? Just that you were perfect in every way. Are you hungry? Would you like some breakfast? Yeah, that would be great. So we're okay? Susan remained calm and practical. We're fine. It wasn't cheating. We still love each other, and it sounds like Mom is already feeling better. Life seemed to go on as usual. We spoke about my time with Anna as if it were an everyday event, and Susan was genuinely pleased to see her mother in better spirits, noting how she seemed revitalized. Thankfully, she never asked for specifics. Susan seemed to return to her normal self, and I chose not to question it too much, relieved that things felt right again. Unfortunately, it didn't last. Over time, Susan became quiet and withdrawn once more. I worried she regretted letting me be with her mother. I tried to apologize and promised there wouldn't be a repeat, but she reassured me that she had no regrets. I called Anna, but she couldn't offer any insight into Susan's behavior either, though she assured me it had nothing to do with what we had done. Susan had even asked her mom about our night together and seemed genuinely pleased with how it had turned out. Despite my efforts, the sense of distance between us persisted and stretched into weeks as I tried everything I could think of to get back into Susan's favor.
How did this all start? It was a question that kept replaying in my mind. When the kids got older and became less dependent on me, I started going out with my best friend, Claire. Sometimes we met up with my nieces, Kate and Juliet. We only managed to do this once every few weeks when our schedules aligned, but I always had a great time. The girls were young, full of energy, and we all got along wonderfully. Claire was always lively and could chat with anyone, making the evenings even more enjoyable. Both of my nieces were attractive and drew a lot of attention, but what surprised me was that some of that attention was directed toward Claire and me as well. Claire, who had been divorced for 3 years, and the girls were seen as fair game, while I felt slightly out of place. I found myself enjoying the conversations and the playful jokes. The banter was light and funny, especially when the younger guys praised the qualities of older, experienced women. It was harmless fun, a way to escape my routine as a wife and mom. I never intended to cheat on Paul. It was just a way to unwind and feel noticed. One night, we found ourselves in a bit of trouble when some unfamiliar guys got a little too forward. I was concerned for the girls and tried to deal with a guy who kept leaning in to kiss me. I pushed him away and was about to throw my drink on him when, suddenly, he was yanked out of his seat and thrown to the floor. It took a moment to register what had happened. Standing across from the guy and his 3 friends was my rescuer, Edward Rochester, a wealthy client from work. He looked different without his business suit, imposing and confident. That confidence alone was enough to make the guys back off without a fight. I insisted that Edward join us, and we all thanked him repeatedly. The rest of the night passed in lively conversation. His stories were captivating. He had lived in various countries and had a successful career. But despite his interesting tales, He spent most of the time asking about us and encouraging the girls to pursue their dreams. He was inspiring. Kate and Juliet seemed completely taken with him, and I couldn't blame them. He was charming, handsome, and on that night, our hero. I saw him at work the next day, which was unusual since he typically only visited every couple of weeks. He was as charming as ever, and though I felt indebted to him, he insisted I stop thanking him. I mentioned how the girls were now full of ideas about traveling and taking a gap year after college. Talking to him made my stomach flutter in an unfamiliar way. I found myself checking my makeup and hoping for another chance to run into him. When we did meet again, he jokingly offered to chaperone me on our next night out to keep me out of trouble. I laughed, but ended up mentioning when we'd be going out next. My heart skipped a beat when I saw him at the bar. We talked, and he seemed genuinely interested in me, which left me feeling flattered. At first, my nieces encouraged me, saying there was no harm in having some fun and that he clearly liked me. It felt exciting, like being young again, when everything seemed possible and I wanted to go along with it. When we met up on our next night out, the girls seemed more cautious. They reminded me that they loved Uncle Paul and warned me not to do anything reckless. I didn't quite understand why they were worried. This wasn't serious after all. Claire was the one who caught me giving him a goodnight kiss. She scolded me, calling me an idiot and telling me to think about Paul. She warned me not to take things further and refused to join us if Edward was going to be there. I tried to put a stop to it, but Edward was constantly on my mind. He was so attractive, especially compared to Paul, who had let himself go a bit. Around that time, I came up with the idea for Paul to help my mom. I knew she was struggling with depression and had tried to hide her doctor visits from me. She needed something to bring her back to life, and Paul was the only person who seemed to brighten her mood and make her laugh. We would still see Edward occasionally, but I rejected any further advances from him. Things took a turn when our taxi didn't show up, and Edward offered us a ride home. After dropping off the girls, who looked concerned as they waved goodbye, Edward drove me the rest of the way. He pulled into a quiet spot near my house to let me out. But before I knew it, we were kissing. It felt thrilling, but guilt consumed me. I forced myself to stop and got out of the car, apologizing. I was overwhelmed by my conflicting emotions and barely held back tears when I saw Paul afterward. I kept declining Edward's invitations, but my resolve was weakening. I started convincing myself that meeting him for a drink wouldn't hurt. Then he surprised me with an invitation to a concert by my favorite singer, complete with a backstage pass and private meeting. I had spent weeks trying to get regular tickets without any luck. It was something I had always dreamed of experiencing. That invitation coincided with my decision to ask Paul to spend more time with my mom. I did it for her, mostly, but I couldn't deny that somewhere deep down the idea of having a safety net might have influenced me. The conversation didn't go as I'd envisioned. Paul remained infuriatingly calm. "Who is it, and why do you want to do this, Susan?" I tried to stay vague about what I was expecting. "Paul, I love you completely. This is just a one-time opportunity. It's mostly about the concert on Friday and maybe a chance to share something unique. The person doesn't really matter. You don't know him." I couldn't tell him the truth, that it was a wealthy, charming client from work who made me feel like a teenager caught up in his presence. Paul's voice brought me back to reality. "Don't pretend it's just about a concert. If you want to go with someone else, I won't stop you." There was no anger or threats of divorce, just a calm acceptance that left me feeling almost disappointed. He should have fought for me more, but then I had promised him there was no real risk of losing me. He just seemed sad. "You had your time with my mom. Remember what we agreed? It's not cheating if we know about it, and I'll come back to you just like you did." "You practically begged me to do that, and we both had choices. You're not giving me any choice here." The next few days were quiet. We barely spoke, and Paul kept himself busy. Still, he hadn't left or made any demands, which I took as a positive sign. Walking down the stairs carefully, I could feel Paul's eyes on me. The slit in my new dress opened up to my thigh as I descended, and I tried to subtly cover the tops of my stockings. When I reached the bottom in my strappy heels, Paul looked me over with disdain. "You're certainly putting in the effort for him. Too bad you don't put the same effort into us. Are you really sure you want to do this?" I nodded. "You had your moment, and I think I deserve the same." Paul turned and walked away without saying another word. I took his silence as acceptance and decided not to press him on how he was feeling. It was better not to provoke him. I left, assuring him I'd be back by midnight. The concert was incredible, as was the Michelin-starred dinner beforehand. The intimacy afterward was good, though not quite what I'd hoped for. The thrill was more in the forbidden nature of it. He knew what he was doing, but it felt rehearsed and lacked real emotion. There was no intensity, and physically, he was no different from Paul. He asked me to stay the night, but I declined, glad to keep the promise I'd made to Paul. Staying longer might have made for a better experience, but I resisted. I made it home just in time, but the house was empty. It took me a moment to spot Paul's note on the fridge. Back tomorrow. I called his phone, but it went straight to a not available message. I figured he'd gone out drinking and was staying at a friend's place to cope, which seemed fair. It would give him some time to cool off. I had sprung this on him with very little notice. I went to bed but couldn't sleep. Usually if I felt restless, I'd cuddle up to Paul and drift off quickly. By 5 a.m., I gave up and got out of bed, and by 10 a.m., I had cleaned most of the house just to stay busy. My mind was racing, trying to figure out what to say to Paul. He finally came home at 11 a.m., and he didn't look hungover. I'm sore. I don't want to hear it, Susan. I'm moving into the spare room. I love you more than anything. I said the last part to his back as he walked into the kitchen. I followed him, waiting for him to ask how my night had gone. I had all my answers prepared. It was nice, but not like what we had. No, he wasn't bigger. It was just a one-time thing, and there were no feelings. I still loved Paul and only Paul, but the questions never came. He stayed silent, making himself a mug of tea, and didn't offer one for me. In the end, I had to break the silence, though my attempt wasn't the most brilliant. Are you okay? Paul looked at me as if I'd lost my mind. I know last night must have been hard for you. I'm sorry. He raised his hand to stop me. No, you're not. This was all planned and intentional. At a loss for words, I asked in frustration, where did you go? That's the first time you've shown any interest in me. Everything has been about you. To answer your question, I went on a date and stayed the night. What? Are you serious? Don't worry, it was good. Great, actually. I have some feelings for her, but it's not love. Hearing my own prepared excuses echoed back at me, I snapped. You jerk! Who did you sleep with? That's no way to talk about your mother. No, it can't be true. She wouldn't do that. You're mine, and I'll confront her about this. Oh, like you're mine? Except when you want to be with Edward Rochester? How do you know his name? I know him. Or rather, his wife. We've talked quite a bit over the last few days. He's married? Yeah, 12 years, apparently. She mentioned hiring investigators, photos, and divorce during a call yesterday. Oh, and something about taking him to the cleaners this time. What do you mean, this time? Come on, you didn't think you were the first, did you? Not even the fifth from what she says. This is a mess. I'm sorry, Paul. Can we move past this? I didn't cheat. You knew about it. It's cheating when you set me up from the start so you could be with him. Was that what the arrangement with your mom was about? A setup planned by you that I fell into without knowing? I called my mom, furious. How could you, Mom? Wake up, Susan. What did you expect your husband to do while you went off with a lover and rubbed his nose in it? It's better he was with me than someone else, or out drinking, or looking for your lover to get revenge. At least I could speak positively about you. How was he? Emotionally, I mean? How do you think? He was devastated and seems to know far more than you realize. Did you set this up just to have an affair? It wasn't really about me, was it? It was, Mom. I thought Paul would help you. I didn't know things would go this way with Edward. Well, I'm not sure I believe you, and Paul probably won't either. And by the way, what are you thinking? Paul is amazing in bed. Really? It felt like our intimacy life had become routine. Then you need to step it up, girl. He wasn't routine with me. Quite the opposite, actually. He's very attentive and adventurous. I've never known a man to be so considerate or enthusiastic about certain things. Mom, please, too much information. Paul glared at me. Why did you do it? That was the question I had dreaded. I knew the answer. It wasn't complicated, but admitting it would only make things worse. My life with Paul and the kids was great, but I did it because I wanted the thrill, the excitement, and the attention. I don't know, I guess things had become routine. I was flattered by the attention and his company felt exciting. I never intended to hurt you. I was attracted to Edward, but I didn't want to cheat. I thought you spending time with my mom was a fair balance so we could both try something new. What was so appealing about him? He was charming, confident, and handsome. He was different from you. But I never saw it as choosing him over you or thinking he was better. I never stopped loving you. We got along well. He's younger, successful, and honestly a nice guy. I stopped mid-sentence when Paul's head shot up, realizing just how foolish I was about to sound. A nice guy, sure. One who cheats and sleeps with married women, so younger. Was the Zex better? It wasn't better, just new. But it lacked the connection we have. So I'm not enough for you? No, that's not it at all. You're my husband, the father of my children, and the love of my life. You've mentioned before that you've gained some weight and need to get fit, but that doesn't change how I love you. Oh, so now it's my fault? I didn't know our marriage depended on me being thin. Maybe I should find someone who actually likes me. Paul, come on. You stay home, watch sports, and drink beer. Even with my mom, I had to set that up for you. The look on his face made me realize I had just said something terrible. You're unbelievable. I'm tired because I work myself to exhaustion, earning the money for the house and vacations you wanted, things a lover doesn't have to worry about. So not only did you have an affair, but you think I'm lazy, overweight, and unattractive. How would you feel if I said that to you? I'd feel awful. I didn't mean... I'm so sorry. Tears welled up, and I ran from the room, crying. I lay in bed replaying last night over and over, regretting how the conversation had spiraled. Cornered in trying to justify my actions, I'd only made things worse. Realizing I had blamed Paul was crushing. I felt ashamed. The worst part was none of it was true. Paul was strong and attractive. Sure, he'd gained a few pounds, but he wasn't overweight. I used to admire how hard he worked to provide for us. When had I forgotten that? Admitting to an affair, even a brief one, was bad enough, but trying to shift the blame onto him was despicable. And implying he couldn't attract other women was hurtful and untrue. I had hurt him just to deflect my own guilt. It was shallow and cruel. I must have lost my mind to say such things. Why did I do it in the first place? Maybe deep down, I wanted to take a risk with Edward. I was frustrated with our limitations and financial worries. Someone as ambitious and successful as Edward was tempting. But I didn't want to lose everything, and I didn't want to truly cheat. I thought that if Paul spent time with my mom, he wouldn't have grounds to complain. It felt like a chance to explore something different. Edward turned out to be less than I'd imagined. Handsome and wealthy, yes, but lacking something deeper. The entire plan now seemed absurd. I worried Paul might never forgive me. I knew I needed to start making things right immediately, so I went to find him. I found him in the kitchen. It didn't mean anything. Maybe not to you, but it means a lot to me. He made me feel special, like I was more than just a housewife and mother. And what about my drab and boring life? Going to work every day, taking every bit of overtime just to keep us going, so tired that all I can manage is eating and falling asleep on the couch? I didn't think about that. Clearly. Well, I need to reevaluate everything too. I've been working so hard not to fail and not to let you down that I forgot about myself. I'm done with all the overtime. I need a better work-life balance and more time for me. You might need to cut back on your spending, maybe go out less or get Edward to pay for it. I won't see him again. Wow, thanks. That's generous of you. I'm touched. I couldn't seem to say anything right. I tried talking to my mom again, attempting to explain myself, but I was just as unsuccessful as I was with Paul. When I admitted that our bed life had become pretty routine, my mom seemed confused. I was shocked when she mentioned that Paul had given her multiple pleasure and had performed well multiple times in one night. She asked what I did to keep things interesting in the bedroom, and I had no answer. No, I didn't own any lingerie, and I rarely engaged in oral sex. Having him kiss or touch me intimately felt a little too risque to me. Good grief, Susan. Are you going to tell me next that you just lie there with your eyes closed? I didn't want to respond to that. It hit too close to the truth. I tried calling Claire for advice and support, but she barely spoke to me, asking if I was out of my mind and reminding me that she had warned me multiple times not to get involved with Edward. Her parting words caught me off guard. Paul is a good friend, a good man, and he deserved better from you. Paul started spending more and more time out of the house, and I figured out he wasn't out drinking or moping but was actually going to the gym every night. One weekend, he dusted off his old road bike and began going for rides, which grew longer over time. He said it felt great, made him feel healthier and more focused. He even joined a cycling club and started meeting people from different backgrounds who shared his newfound passion. He reconnected with his friends, getting back into sports and hiking, along with social activities. I found myself missing him, missing the comfort of our conversations and cuddles. I needed the support of my strong, steady husband. I was trapped by my own mistakes and didn't know how to fix things. We almost bumped into each other at the bathroom door. Paul had just taken a shower and stood there with a towel wrapped around him. He looked great, better than I remembered. The weight loss hadn't taken much given his active job, and he looked toned. I felt an unexpected wave of attraction which hit me hard. "You look really good. I only said you were a bit overweight. You don't need to be at the gym all the time." "One reason you slept with another man was because I was fat." "Well, your exact word was podgy, wasn't it?" I cringed internally. "I didn't mean it that way. I'm sorry I said it." It was as if he didn't hear me. His voice had an edge, carrying a quiet anger. "But you were right. I wish you'd said something sooner. We could have worked on it together. But now I'm doing it for myself, not for you." He brushed past me and shut his bedroom door. The counseling started in a typical manner with the question of what we wanted to achieve. I answered, "I want to repair the damage in our relationship, rebuild the trust and love, and get back to how we used to be." "Okay, we'll explore that further. And you, Mr. Edmonds?" "I want a partner who respects me, someone I can trust." I felt relieved. It seemed like we wanted the same thing and he was still open to staying together. I already respected him and believed I could earn back his trust. Then Paul continued, "But I don't want to go back to the way things were. It would be foolish to repeat the same mistakes that got us here. Susan called me fat and lazy, and that lack of respect allowed her to cheat. As for trust, I don't know how I could ever feel that again." The counselor asked if I wanted to respond. I was stunned, trying to process his words, but I managed to speak. "I didn't see it that way. It wasn't a logical decision. Maybe there's some truth to what you're saying. I lost sight of all the good things and everything you do for us, but I never stopped loving you. Maybe you do love me, but you made it clear you weren't attracted to me." "That's not true. I am attracted to you. You look incredible." "And what if I gain a few pounds again or get worn out from work?" "Nothing would change. I'd try to support you better and be a better wife." "But it did change. You didn't like what you saw and looked for something else, someone younger, fitter, and probably with a bigger—" "He wasn't bigger. And it wasn't about that. We are good together." "Is the lovemaking what you can't get past?" "It's everything. But yes, you made sure I knew you enjoyed yourself, so the emphasis on the sex is part of it. It wasn't like the love we have. I think I deserve someone who finds me irresistible and can't wait to pull me into bed, the way you did with him." "But I do find you attractive." "Do you? Honestly, you never put much effort into our bedroom life. Most of the time you just lie there like I should feel grateful for being close to you. When was the last time you pulled me into the bedroom? Why does it always feel like I'm asking for a favor?" "What? Seriously, I thought our intimacy life was good." "Yeah, my experience with Anna made me realize there was no passion. Maybe that's what you were searching for. Maybe you were different with him." "But I wasn't different. It was like it is with you." The counselor suggested a break to let us cool off. I was still trying to process what Paul had said and remembered my mom's advice about upping my game. I knew we needed to move forward. Going in circles wouldn't help. "Paul, I'll keep saying this. I'm sorry. I will never do anything like that again. It was selfish and foolish." "Yeah, but I bet it's a memory you'll want to hold on to, your guilty little secret. Or will you share it as fond stories and jokes with your friends?" "I wouldn't do that. I just want to move past it. We can't keep hurting each other. I want us to really come back together." Paul paused, clearly processing something. "I'm not trying to hurt you, but I need to focus on what's right for me, not just for you. In some ways, you were right. I don't like who I am, and I need to figure that out for myself." "How can you think that? You're the best man I know, strong and caring. I didn't mean any of what I said. I was looking for excuses. It's my fault you feel this way. Let me help fix it. Maybe you could have before, but not now. You're making it harder, not easier. I need to respect myself first. A lot of my strength came from being with you, and maybe I became too dependent. Please don't say that. I'm still here and would do anything for you. I never thought it would come to this." The sessions didn't help. He just couldn't get past what I'd done. That was difficult enough. But what really hurt was that he couldn't let go of the things I'd said to justify my actions. I did find him attractive and respected him, but he refused to believe it. I still don't really get why. I can blame being a mother, boredom, or losing sight of things, but the truth is the opportunity was there and I wasn't strong enough to turn it down. That's a terrible reason to end a marriage. I can't forgive you. We're done. I want a divorce. The reality of the situation set in, and I realized I was losing this battle. I understand. I'm really sorry. I still love you and would do anything to stay together, but I see that's not possible now. Paul looked at me, unsure, likely wondering if I was just trying to bluff or if I was truly letting go. So, you win. You had your fling with the rich guy and now you're free to run off with him. I'll be stuck living in a tiny place, barely able to afford it, seeing my kids once a month, and you'll probably make even that difficult. What did I ever do to deserve this? I would never do that to you, Paul. I still love you. I'll agree to whatever you need financially. You're a great dad, and they need you now more than ever. You could see them whenever you want. I know this is all my fault. Those words seemed to catch him off guard. He looked confused, nodding with uncertainty. I decided to go along with whatever Paul wanted, including starting the divorce. I would comply, but not fight too hard, and was determined to stay friends with him. I hoped that over time his anger would fade. If I handled the separation perfectly, maybe, just maybe, I could win him back. Paul was such a good man and remained fair during our initial separation. I stayed in the house with the kids, supported by his payments. He had visitation every other weekend, but I encouraged him to spend as much time with the kids as he wanted, which he truly appreciated. I was determined to stay strong and survive, even if this ended in divorce. I was independent and attractive. I kept in touch with Edward, who was speeding toward his own divorce and trying to minimize the damage. He wanted us to be together. At first, I thought of him as an upgrade from Paul, but that idea shattered when I learned he was married, turning him into a fallback option at best. Things with Edward went downhill quickly. His arrogance and superiority came out fast, and it was no surprise his wife told me I was welcome to him. He didn't have as much money as I assumed, and he stood to lose most of it in the divorce. Who has 5 kids these days anyway? Edward soon seemed like a poor substitute for Paul. It made me appreciate what I had taken for granted. I'd forgotten how much I relied on Paul's quiet reassurance and emotional support. He was so easygoing and never complained about what I suggested. Paul and I managed to remain on good terms and stayed friendly. I noticed he still glanced at me now and then, so I dressed to catch his attention more. One night, I saw Paul out with the group of friends we used to join for social outings. I kept glancing over, but he hadn't noticed me yet. He was as reserved as ever, but when he spoke, people listened and laughed, making him the center of attention without much effort. He looked great. Slimmer, tanned, and like he'd received some style advice from a woman. I wondered how I had once focused on the negatives and minor annoyances while overlooking the good. I missed so much about him. His unwavering support, his unconditional love, and frankly, he looked amazing sitting there. When he went to the bar to get more drinks, I gathered the courage to approach him. "Hi, Paul." He looked surprised but quickly composed himself. "Hello, Susan. It's nice to see you." "Thank you, you too. It's good to see you out with friends." "I've always done that. You just stopped coming out with us. You should come over and say hi to everyone." I hesitated, unsure of their reaction. Paul was always well-liked, and I knew I had let him down. "I can't do that. I'm embarrassed because of what I did. They'll be fine with you. No one took sides, and I'm sure they'd be glad to see you." In just a few words, Paul made me realize everything I had lost, and I knew I wanted my husband back at any cost. Thankfully, we were only separated, not divorced, so I still had a chance. He had just been so kind to me, which had to mean there were still feelings there. "Do you have to be so perfect, Paul? Can't you let me have something to hold on to? You're allowed to be bitter and angry with me. I deserve it." "We have kids, Susan. We need to move forward and be good to each other for their sake." "I always knew you were a good man, Paul. I didn't realize you were practically a saint." "Not quite. Remember your mother." "Yes, but even then I practically begged you to do it, and you always did what I wanted." I ended things with Edward for good. It was time to stop playing both sides and focus on winning back my husband. Strangely enough, Edward didn't seem to care at all. He even had the nerve to say I was his biggest mistake and that he lost his wife over a terrible fling. What a cheeky comment. I made sure to spend more time with Paul and the kids. He was an amazing father, so protective and caring, always making them laugh and showing a level of patience I couldn't match. We talked more, and I often kissed his cheek when he left with the kids. I stayed away from dating and made sure Paul knew that. I also let him know that plenty of men were interested in me, but none matched the standard he had set, and that was true. My plan to win Paul back was working, and I knew the idea of being a united family again was powerful for him. If I could get him back, I would be the best wife possible. I even had my mom talk to Paul while I listened on speakerphone. She started by admitting I had been foolish and knew it. I just can't get over it, Anna. It's more about the trust than the sex. She completely blindsided me. She loves you, Paul. Please go back to her and the kids. She was reckless and selfish, but she's devastated. I'm genuinely worried about her. She needs you. I nodded silently, agreeing. The things she said, I don't even know if she likes me. Fat, lazy, all that nonsense. My mom gave me a stern look, making sure I remembered my mistakes. You know she didn't mean any of that, Paul. She was just trying to justify herself. Please go back for the kids or as a favor to me. I like you, Anna, and you're the most attractive woman I've known. But what we had showed me that something was missing between Susan and me. I just don't think she was ever truly passionate about me, which is probably why she set us up and cheated. I almost shouted, no, but held my tongue. I'm sure that's not true, Paul. If it would help get you both back together, we could work something out. I did enjoy our time together, Anna, but that wouldn't be right. Maybe if I had resisted more, Susan and I would still be together. Besides, you deserve to find someone special to share your life with. You'd have no shortage of suitors. That's kind of you, Paul. Thank you. Our time really did mean a lot to me. After the call, my mom reminded me that I was married to a wonderful man and suggested it might be better for us both to move on. My plan to use my mom as leverage had backfired, showing Paul what he had been missing intimately. It was infuriating and completely frustrating. I wanted the chance to spoil him, win him back, and reignite the passion between us. Despite my efforts to win Paul back, the divorce process kept moving forward. We were set to meet at a restaurant to sign the papers, but I had a different plan in mind. I wore a designer dress, new lingerie, and heels, wanting to look my best. I noticed Paul's gaze on me, sending a shiver through me. Nice outfit. Is that to show off what I'm losing, or are you just here to gloat? There's no gloating here, Paul. The outfit is for you. I want you to notice me again. Paul looked puzzled. Let's just get this over with. I've already signed the papers. Here, take them. Maybe we shouldn't sign them yet. You've got to be kidding. What are you talking about? I'm talking about staying together as a family. We're meant for each other. I don't want to see anyone else, and I'm hoping there's still a chance for us. I love you. It's that simple. I didn't realize how much until now, and I was a fool to risk losing you. Deep down, I know you still love me too. I was never enough for you. You always wanted more things, more money. We built the life you wanted, and then you suddenly didn't want it anymore. You stopped spending time with our friends and preferred shopping and nights out with your girlfriends. None of that matters to me now, Paul. I just want our family back. Quit your job if you want. We'll find a way to make it work. I'm happy with my life now. You weren't, so there's no point going back. I want our life together more than anything. My time with Edward was a terrible mistake. I'd do anything you wanted, even in the bedroom. I should have been more open with you instead of looking elsewhere. Even my mom still speaks highly of you. Until the next wealthy, charming man shows up with a smile and a credit card. That dress doesn't hide who you really are inside. The comment stung. That won't happen, Paul. Neither of us is seeing anyone, and I know you're still attracted to me. Who says I'm not seeing anyone? I'm taking Claire out tonight. We've been spending time together, but she wanted to wait until these papers were signed before going any further. Claire, my friend Claire, you can't be serious. Oh, I'm serious. We've been talking since before your fling. How do you think I found out about Edward? I thought his wife contacted you. No, I reached out to her after your little plan was revealed. She already suspected him. Claire was the one who warned me about what you were planning. She tried to talk sense into you multiple times, but you were determined, so she stopped going out with you. She thought telling me would stop it, but we both underestimated how stubborn and selfish you were. I was speechless. I couldn't believe Claire had told him and was now with him. Paul continued, and she doesn't think I'm fat either. Funny how life turns out. Claire always thought you were lucky to have me. We decided to be cautious for the kids' sake, but I will be seeing her. Turns out some women do find me attractive. He finished with, I took a long, hard look at myself and realized my only mistake was loving you. Sign the papers, Susan. We're done. The divorce went through and there was little I could do to stop it. I often saw Paul and Claire together. They looked genuinely happy and my kids adored her. She was always fun. I try to be happy for Paul because he deserves it. But deep down, it's hard not to feel that it's unfair. He should be mine. Maybe if I keep being kind, I'll find my way back to him someday.